What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. Today we are taking a look at hands down the best ARC 3.0 build for Warlocks, featuring the new exotic helmet, the Fallen Sunstar. A build I'm calling the perfect storm. This new exotic is absolutely insane, made specifically for the introduction of ARC 3.0. A complete god tier exotic, and it is so much better than the Crown of Tempest has ever been. So if you were reluctant about switching over, or just curious about how good the Fallen Sunstar really is, well then this is the perfect video for you. Before we get started, if you enjoyed today's video and find it helpful, then please be sure to help support the channel below by hitting the like and subscribe buttons below. The Fallen Sunstar comes with the intrinsic perk called Ionic Conductor. Ionic traces you create move faster and grant you additional ability energy. Nearby allies also gain ability energy when you collect an Ionic trace. This Ionic return provides a 20% bump to your grenade, melee, and class ability, and not just for you, but for your allies as well, each and every time you pick up an Ionic trace. The more traces you create, the larger the return, and that's where this exceptional build comes in play, to supercharge the already glorious abilities of the Fallen Sunstar. To start, we'll be using the electrostatic mind aspect, defeating targets with arc abilities, or defeating enemies who are jolted or blinded will create Ionic traces. Along with reaping the benefit of ability regeneration from Fallen Sunstar, you'll also become amplified each time you pick up an Ionic trace. We're pairing this up with Lightning Surge, which gives you an alternate charged melee option. While sliding, activate your charged melee to blink forward to perform a super cool and highly devastating uppercut that jolts targets caught in its wave. We'll be applying Chain Lightning to our melee attack, which pairs up remarkably well with Lightning Surge. We're also going to run Storm Grenades, which are absolutely nasty right now, especially when you combo it up with a Spark of Shock Fragment, which will jolt targets hit by your grenade. It does come with a 10-point reduction in discipline, but well worth it. Since we'll be jolting nearly every enemy we attack, we'll be using Spark of Ion, which is going to create even more Ionic traces for us, as we'll get an Ionic trace every time we defeat a jolted enemy. For survivability purposes, I advise to use Spark of Resistance, which adds 10 points of strength and makes you more resilient to incoming damage when surrounded by enemies. But alternatively, since we're using Storm Grenades, you could use Spark of Magnitude to extend the duration. Since we have devoted a lot of focus so far towards grenades and our melee, it's important that we pair these up with the right armor and mods. With that being said, you'll want to have your discipline and strength as high as possible to improve those recharge rates. We'll be using the Elemental Charge mod along with Elemental Armaments and Ordnance. This will create wells when we defeat enemies with our grenade and arc weapons. You could just as easily swap either of these out for melee wellmaker, but it does come at a higher energy cost. We'll also be going with the solar mod Bountiful Wells, which will double the amount of wells we create to help us stay charged with light far more often. You could swap Bountiful Wells out for wells of ions if you want to get additional boost to your melee damage after picking up a well. For our final fourth column mod slot, it will really boil down to your preferences of grenades or melee. If you find yourself using the Lightning Surge ability more often, you'll find it better to use the arc mod called Heavy Handed, which returns melee energy after using a charged melee attack. But on the other end of the spectrum, we are using Firepower, the solar mod, which returns a portion of our grenade energy when we use a grenade. For added support to this build, we're using the arc mod called Hands On, which will provide us with super energy after melee kills. You can swap this out just as easily for the solar mod to provide super energy after grenade kills. Both cost 3 energy. We've got Focusing Strike, the seasonal artifact mod that grants class ability energy when causing damage with a melee, and the solar bomber mod on our class item, which will reduce our grenade cooldown when using a class ability. I also really like the amped up artifact mod, which allows you to stay amplified for a longer duration, an extremely beneficial mod that only costs 1 energy point. If you're facing champions champions though, I would highly suggest the use of surge detonators to stun those overload champions with your storm grenades. While you're likely to spend more time killing enemies with lightning surge and storm grenades, if you throw on harmonic siphon, you'll create orbs after arc weapon kills, which will trigger the solar mod Innervation, which reduces grenade cooldown each time we pick up an orb. We're also using recuperation, which replenishes health at the same time. When it comes to weapons that are really ideal for this build, there are quite a few strong exotic options, including the Risk Runner, the Trinity Ghoul, Anarchy, and the Symmetry, which all have exceptional ability to strike multiple targets at once. There's also the Storm Chaser Linear Fusion Rifle, the Come to Pass Auto Rifle, and a number of new seasonal weapons that all offer the new perk Jolted, which gives those weapons the ability to jolt targets just as you would with arc abilities. Once it all comes together, you have a build that provides you with lightning fast ability recharge, allowing you to embody the full force of a Thunder God. This is hands down one of the funnest and strongest arc builds currently available, and I highly encourage you all to try it out for yourselves and let me know what you think in the comments below. That's going to wrap things up for today's video on the Perfect Storm Warlock build, featuring the new God tier exotic, the Fallen Sunstar. Thank you all for checking out today's video. I hope you've enjoyed and found it helpful. If so, then please be sure to help support the channel below by hitting that like button along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated and really do help support the channel. If you're in need of any help throughout this season, maybe with the raid, a dungeon, or any of the new seasonal content, then be sure to check out the Discord link in the description below and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.